Oh yes. Hey crew, I've got the key card to that 22 Tesla Model 3 Performance. We are going to take it for a drive, but first let's check out how it looks on the inside and outside. Up front, there is no grille. You just have this flat nose that doesn't bother me like it does the Model Y. There are LED headlights and turn signals, fog lights down low, and functional curtains to send cool air to the front brakes and tires. This one is painted in the upgraded solid black, but the owner also added a 3M satin finish wrap to it that I think looks awesome. In profile is a standard set of 20-inch dark gray painted wheels wrapped in Pirelli P0 tires, 235 section front and rear. The Performance gets upgraded brakes and red painted calipers. There's blacked out window trim, body color matching door handles. Stepping back to look at the profile, it's got a really clean silhouette, and the satin finish does emphasize the creases on the body. I mean, who wouldn't love to see a little less wheel gap? But it's not a boring looking sedan at all. At the back is a carbon fiber lip spoiler, LED taillights and turn signals, and not much else to distinguish the rear end. It's just a very smooth looking sedan. I think it's tied with the Model S Plaid as Tesla's best looking model. Let's check out the interior. Opening up by pressing my hand here and pulling on the handle and looking inside at this optional white on black interior with leatherette seats that have a texture similar to marshmallows. On the doors, soft touch materials up high, suede insert, padded leatherette that's stitched nicely, one touch up down windows, your power release button is there, hard plastics down low. Moving inside, pretty easy to do, don't have to duck my head much. Behind my own seat at 6 feet tall, I do not have much in the way of knee room. This is all hard plastics. No real foot pockets to slide my feet under, and with the floor high with the battery pack underneath, my knees are pitched up at quite the angle. On the bright side, my head does clear the roof with my head all the way back. That's great. 2 air vents are here, 2 USB-C ports. What's great about not having a drive shaft hump is that I can easily slide into the middle seat. And here, with the cutout in the console, I actually have more legroom in the middle than I did on the sides, and my head still clears the glass roof. If you don't have someone in the middle seat and you need this armrest, it is padded and has 2 cup holders. So sort of a mixed bag in the back seats. You've got your amenities, you've got your headroom, and the glass roof is cool. But yeah, if you're sitting on the side seats, not a lot of room behind full-size adults. Let's check out the front. Door close noise. Pretty solid, especially for frameless windows. Those can sometimes rattle. Up front are power adjusting seats. They're heated. The back seats are also heated. Should have mentioned that. There's a Model 3 tread plate. With the Performance trim, you get aluminum foot pedals. Similar materials on the front doors as the back, except you also have this chalky white trim. To open the front trunk and the rear trunk, you got to go inside and press either of these buttons on the touchscreen. It is a power opening rear trunk. Wish it was a hatch. But inside we find quite a bit of storage. The combined storage space in the Model 3 is 15 cubic feet of space. You can also fold down those rear seats 60-40, and they do fold all the way flat. Under the floor is a deep cubby where you can store your charging cables and some additional goodies. There's a power close button on the trunk lid, which seals up quickly. In the driver's seat, you'll note the lack of gauge cluster. Instead, your speedo is listed while driving on this portion of the screen. There is a small diameter steering wheel, thickly padded, leatherette wrap, feels great in the hands. You have these 2 reconfigurable scroll wheels to adjust everything from your mirror position to the tilt and telescope of the wheel. On the 15-inch widescreen touchscreen infotainment system, it is just crazy responsive. I mean, like smartphone levels of quick here. You've got a bunch of fun Easter eggs inside it. There's Spotify, there's great apps. What you are missing though is Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, or Sirius XM radio. The other kind of annoying thing about it is that you've got to hunt around for certain quick adjustments in other vehicles, like moving the fan's direction or adjusting the fan speed, it takes some extra attention that I feel like some physical HVAC controls would solve. Under the screen, we've got 2 wireless smartphone charging pads. What I love about Tesla vehicles is they don't use a lot of gloss black. Instead, we've got this satin finish gray material that feels excellent. Under there is deep console storage. You've got 2 USB-C ports, 2 cup holders here. Under the padded armrest is more deep storage. Visibility is just fantastic. Plus, we have blind spot cameras. This cabin is conservatively designed, to be sure. I mean, it would be great to see things like leather seats, maybe some HVAC controls, a little bit of carbon fiber on the performance trim, but the feeling of space is great. The responsiveness of the screen is amazing. The features are rich. I'm ready. Let's take the Model 3 Performance for a drive. All right. I would say let's fire it up, but the moment you unlock the door and sit in the seat, the car is on. From here, if you want to get it to drive, either reverse or go forward, you put your foot on the brake. It then either is already on or it will prompt you to take the key card and stick it right about here. If we want to get into the drive modes, you hit the car and then go to pedals and steering. We'll see we're going to begin in chill acceleration, standard steering, and we're going to have it auto hold the brakes. For our level of charge, we're sitting at 275 miles of range, and considering the car told me an estimate of 311 miles when I was at 100% charge, that puts us at about 88%. We're going to lift up on the stock to go into reverse. You can see the parking sensors off the left. And we've got a wide-angle backup camera, high resolution, along with blind spot mirror cameras. A quiet hum. In reverse, down on the stock to go into drive. As usual, we'll begin with a turning radius test. So here we are cranked. Solid, not remarkably tidy, but certainly not bad. First bump feels gentle on the suspension. Turn signal sound. Innocuous. And it brings up that blind spot camera for us. World famous horn test is up next. Oh, louder than I expected. Pronounced horn. Powertrain. We've got 2 electric motors, one at the front, one at the rear, paired with a 75 kilowatt hour battery pack, making a total of 480 horsepower and 471 pound-feet of torque with an all-wheel drive system. The charging, when done at one of Tesla's higher output superchargers, you can go from 10 to 80% in about 30 minutes. If you've got a level 2 charger at home, it'll take you about 11 hours. Ride quality is just exceptional. Supple suspension, stays composed. You hear the bumps more than you feel them. The seats are nice and squishy. I do wish they had some perforations because I feel like after a longer drive your back might get a little sweaty in them. They also don't have much in the way of lateral support, but we'll see how much of an issue that is when we get into some handling. For now, I'm very comfortable. The Model 3 Performance rides expertly, even on those 20-inch wheels with skinny sidewalls. The chill acceleration setting is not a misnomer. It is indeed casual. You can kind of gracefully get up to speed. And yet, with the instantaneousness of the power delivery, you never really feel like you don't have enough in it where you can't just squeeze on a little more throttle and just leave traffic behind you. As the speeds build, We hear a little more of that wind noise at the seams, the tires are talking a bit, and the road noise is present without the natural noise canceling effect of an internal combustion motor. You can more easily pick out those noises in an electric vehicle. So the insulation in the cabin really has to be thorough. It's not bad in this car. It's certainly not loud. Your voice doesn't have to raise all that much to have a conversation with your passengers, and you're not disrupted in the day-to-day. The electric motors are silent. I'm coasting. This would be an incredible daily driver. The standard regenerative braking, which you cannot adjust, you can only do that in track drive mode, is just shy of a full one-pedal driving experience. Back there, I took my foot off the throttle and it gently scrubbed that speed. It didn't really put the full-on kibosh on it. I had to get into the brake pedal myself, and when I did, the responsiveness of that pedal was very nice, not touchy in any way. But it would be nice if there was a one level higher level of braking regeneration, and if you could turn off regen braking apart from going into the track drive mode. Speaking of track drive mode, let's now move into the performance part of the Model 3 Performance. In preparation for those shenanigans, I've got to throw it in park because I can't access track drive mode while in drive. I hit the button once and twice, and it will immediately begin pre-cooling the batteries for high heat situations. You also have maximum regenerative braking, and it will also allow for a torque vectoring effect from the motors. When I go back to pedals and steering, I can even customize the track drive mode for the power distribution front to rear, and the stability control either maxed or as limited as possible. We're going to set it up just like this, 50-50 with stability assist completely switched off. First on the agenda is going to be a real world 0 to 60 test. So I've got my race box set up for that, and I emphasize again real world because you won't always have track prepped conditions. We certainly don't have here, and you may not always have 80 to 90% charge. You can see right now we have 234 miles of range, which is in the 70% charge range. For the launch, you don't have a launch control system. You just hold your foot hard on the brake, pin the throttle, and then let go of the brake. We're going to follow that up with a 60-ish to 0 braking test. So here goes. .28 seconds to 60, and some pretty solid braking immediately followed. We were probably over 60 by the time I was hitting those brakes hard. That acceleration was ferocious. Just no noise, G-force, plowing through the air. 3.28, not perfect conditions, not 80 or 90% charge. You can see how this car could easily get in the very low 3 seconds to 60, and that is precisely what independent tests are seeing. So far, very impressed with the brakes. Let's try now some handling and see how they hold up. Mercy! The speeds are awesome! Ooh. Hello, brakes. Hello, turn-in. Dazzling speed. On the downhill, regen helping us out. Oh, this is a righteously good time. The speed out of corners, unreal. The weight down low from the battery in the floor means built-in stability, yes. But there's something more to it. There's a composure here telling me Tesla did its homework on handling. They really, really did. The steering is very interesting. It's a little like driving with a rubber band that wants to snap right back to center. I don't dislike it though. It's quick, it's pointed, it's balanced, if not a little light on feedback. the regen braking helping out the actual friction braking is huge as well. You have more confidence in it. Love that you can have traction off like this. And while I've enjoyed the handling balance of a 50-50 power split, let's see if we can't make things a bit more interesting by sending 100% of the power to the rear tires. Definitely wants to bring the rear end around more. Oh, yes. All of a sudden, it's got rear drive dynamics. Oh, technology is fascinating. Now, the way in which the Model 3 Performance does break the tires loose is not perfectly smooth. Certainly not if you're coming out of an internal combustion car with a lot of power that can just easily spin those rear rubbers. This does have some jerkiness to the breakaway, yet it remains controllable. The Model 3 Performance is, and I'm going to use the miles per hour word of the day now as I take us out of track drive mode. We'll leave it in sport acceleration with standard steering. It is nonchalant. In other words, it's relaxed. It is at ease in the way it does things, from the perfectly comfortable, casual daily driving to the way it makes quick work and exciting work of technical roads. The Model 3 Performance, it just feels so poised. It is genuinely difficult to come up with driving dynamics criticisms for the Model 3 Performance. Yes, I would like a little more feedback through the steering. And this is probably the biggest one. When I put my foot down, I'd like to hear something, some exciting noise to complement the exhilarating G-force of acceleration. But even that, there's kind of an argument for silence. Short of the noise of squealing tires, and maybe just the flash of a car driving by, you have no idea that this car is breaking the speed limit or doing anything it shouldn't be doing because it's making no huff about it. Whereas, a V8 Charger is going to make noise non-stop, even if it's doing like 5 miles per hour over the speed limit. Now, granted, there's an argument to be made that the V8 Charger is having as much fun in the sound he or she is making while driving. And I do think that's something electric vehicle manufacturers need to work on. It's having the performance be complemented by a desirable acoustic profile. Now we need to move into pricing and competition for the Model 3 Performance. I've yet to share with you the top speed of this vehicle. It's 162 miles per hour, and the total range should be 315 miles for the Performance model. I was showing 311 with 100% charge, and we started out with 88% charge, 275 miles of range. We're looking at 160 miles now. So that is, let's see, we're at 52% charge-ish. We've consumed 36% charge in, I want to say, 40 miles of driving, some good portion of that being aggressive driving. That's heavy, and the track drive mode really does consume range quickly. It's not outlandish though. The i4 M50 consumed a little bit more of its range, and it doesn't have as much to spare. It only has 227 miles of total range. So that's a lot, but more casual driving should be better. The starting price for the 22 Tesla Model 3 Performance, and I can activate autopilot while I'm thinking of it, is $64,490. This one is tested with the solid black exterior, and the two-tone interior is $66,940. The competitors, I already mentioned one, the BMW i4 M50. That one starts at just under $67,000. It does make 536 horsepower. It gets to 60 in 3.9 seconds. The range, as I said, is 227 miles, and the cargo space is not as much as this. Then there is the Polestar 2 dual motor. That one is the least expensive at $51,200. It makes the least power, 408 horsepower. It has a range of 249 miles, and the cargo space is 1 cubic feet more than this. I genuinely did not see this one coming. But the Tesla Model 3 Performance is not only the most comfortable in terms of ride quality and seat comfort, and the most easy to live with in terms of total range being the longest and the availability of the supercharger network, but it's also the most enjoyable to drive of the vehicles that I mentioned. And I would have told you yesterday that it was going to be the BMW i4 M50 because that one was great to drive. I do think I still prefer a little bit the more designed interior of the i4 M50 versus this just kind of screen tacked on design of the Model 3 Performance. But other than that, this one just leads the segment by a fair margin. If you want to see how this vehicle drives at night, the headlights, the interior, hear the standard sound system, watch Zent's POV night drive that is coming up in the next day or two. I hope you've enjoyed this POV drive review. If you did, please like, comment, and share the video. Subscribe to the channel, hit that bell to get notified, and I'll see you next time.